Liberal government cuts funding and suspends anti-racism group's project after tweets. The Liberals are funding hate. How else to describe the speakers of this Toronto convention? This is the Great White North Report.
I'm in love with the system. Never going home. I'm in love.
Recently, the Liberal government cut funding because of a consultant's tweets about anti-Semitic and xenophobic, according to this article. Housing, Diversity and Inclusion Minister Ahmad Hussein is calling on the Community Media Advocacy Center to explain how it would rectify damage caused by a series of controversial tweets. What is a Housing and Diversity and Inclusion Minister? I have no idea. But anyway, so the Liberals, they cut their funding for an anti-racism group and suspended work on a project that was running after a member of the group made anti-Semitic remarks in a social media post. Laith Maroof, a senior consultant on this anti-racism project that had received $133,000 from the federal government, there goes my tax dollars again, posted controversial remarks on his Twitter account. Now, the account was private, but a screenshot of the post showed a number of tweets with his photos and names. One of them said, "You know all those loudmouth bags of human feces, aka the Jewish white supremacists. When we liberate Palestine and they have to go back to where they come from, they will return to being low-voiced bitches of their Christian secular white supremacist masters." Yeah, you really can't say those kind of things. First of all, so obviously he supports the Palestinian movement, which I, for one, do not. Just look at the failed state that the Gaza Strip is. Gaza could have been something better. It could have been like the Monaco or the San Marino of the Eastern Mediterranean. Instead, because of Hamas, it's become the biggest dumpster fire, even worse than Syria and Lebanon on the Eastern Mediterranean. He also forgets to mention that the Israeli government at one time offered to go back to the 1948 lines, but Yasser Arafat walked away from the meeting. He was going to get everything he wanted, but he walked away from it. So it's not the Jewish problem of the Jews or the Israelis. It's the problem with the Arabs. And until Yasser Arafat came along, there was no such thing as a Palestinian Arab. So I fully support Israel. I do not support the Arab-Palestinian idea, and think we should cut our funding from them and cut our losses, because it's just another waste of Canadian taxpayer money. Now, the Community Media Advocacy Center received this money from the Department of Canadian Heritage grant to build an anti-racism strategy for Canadian broadcasting. Right. That's not really part of our heritage, but oh well. This guy was listed as a senior consultant on the website. His quote is saying that CMAC is excited to launch the Building an Anti-Racism Strategy for Canadian Broadcasting Conversation and Convergence Initiative with funding from the Heritage Anti-Racism Action Program. So the minister's statement called on the CMAC to explain how it came to hire Maroof and how it plans to rectify the damage caused by his anti-Semitic and xenophobic statements. Meanwhile, Maroof said he wanted to be quoted verbatim and distinguish between Maroof's clear reference to Jewish white supremacists and Jews or Jewish people in general. He said he does not harbor any animus towards the Jewish faith as a collective group. Right. Thing is, they don't really tell you. In Israel, Arabs have full rights as Israeli citizens. The only thing they're not allowed to do is join, or they're not forced to do, is join the military. In fact, they're discouraged from joining the military, probably because they're not the Jewish state might not trust them, but also because then they can also be blamed for forcing Arabs to fight Arabs or putting them in the front line. The Israelis can be accused of that. Meanwhile, after 1948, all the Muslim countries expelled their Jews, kicked them out of their country in retaliation. So, go figure there. So, which brings us to the next thing. Liberals are funding hate. How else to describe the speakers at this Toronto convention? So, speakers at a Muslim Association of Canada gathering will include one who advocates the death penalty for homosexuality and another says it's okay to beat your wife. Great. This is what the Muslim Association of Canada likes. First of all, there is a death penalty for homosexuality in several countries in the Muslim world, and in other parts of the Muslim world, it's a prison sentence. Sometimes life, sometimes whatever years. Homosexuality is not accepted in the Muslim world. Here in Canada, they accept it among non-Muslim people. They're fine with it, but not amongst themselves. So it's best to remember that. I'm not saying there aren't there's not gays, lesbians, and transgenders in the Muslim world. It's just that they're very much hidden and underground, and they have to be careful because, like I said, there's a death penalty or a huge prison sentence. Wife beating is okay according to their hadiths, Muslim traditions and hadiths. So some of these speakers say that while homosexuality is filthy and warrants the death penalty, they also say that Christian Arabs who protect Jews from murderers are traitors. A man should be permitted to be his wife. Yeah, that really flies well in the face of feminism and the woke movement here. Okay. And these are just some of the ideas promoted by several of the individuals who will be featured speakers at a national 3-day conference beginning in Canada and Toronto. So this is last month. Hosted by an organization that Trudeau government has provided more than $3 million in federal anti-hate youth engagement and security funding over the past 3 years. So $1 million a year of my taxpayer money has gone to these things. What a waste of money. The Muslim Association of Canada has taken a turn in recent years to an ambiguously reactionary, heavily politicized version of Islam embraced by only a small minority of Canada's Muslims. I don't see a lot of Muslims actually embracing a lot of things. I know a lot of Muslims, and you gotta be careful what you talk about with them. You have to be very careful, because you never know what's going to set them off. Meanwhile, this organization has been targeted by the CRA. They're conducting an ongoing audit of the organization since 2015 because of foreign money that's also pouring into it. But MAC are insisting that it's being unfairly singled out by the CRA for allegedly a systematic Islamophobic bias in the bureaucracy. While Trudeau also say that the allegations may have some merit and said the CRA should abandon practices that target Muslims. Institutions should support people, not target them. So if they're receiving financial support from foreign donors, yes, the CRA should get involved. So 2 months ago, the association launched a charter of rights complaint against the CRA, seeking a quarter to have the audit shut down, but the presence of several featured speakers of the MAC's upcoming national conference set in Toronto suggests the association is far less sensitive to human rights concerns than it makes out. Like I said, wife beating is nothing new in the Islamic world, as is marrying 9-year-old girls. It's in some countries in the Muslim world, it's perfectly legal to do so. One speaker, Al-Nablusi, defended the death penalty as a punishment for homosexuality on the grounds that being gay involves a filthy place and does not generate offspring. So they're definitely not screening who they get for speakers, and we should definitely stop funding the MAC. Like, why do I want my money to go to things like that? But Trudeau doesn't think like that. That's the problem. Trudeau panders to everything. Like the attack on Salman Rushdie. He said it was a strike on freedom of expression that our world relies on. No one should feel to be threatened or harmed on the basis of what they have written. I wished him a speedy recovery. Well, how can you say that when you're funding speakers that call for the death of Rushdie? But anyway, so should we be funding these type of groups? Should we be screening them more heavily? Or should we just stop wasting our tax dollars and cut everything off like that? Because we were fine 30 years ago without it. Anyway, any Canadians out there, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And until next time, this has been the Great White North Report.
I'm in love.